Hello and welcome. Hope you guys are all doing great. Applersky here with another Assassin's Creed Shadows video, and this is a special one because we got to see about 13 minutes of gameplay today, and I was really impressed. And I also have some exclusive pieces of gameplay that I learned from the developers, not myself, but a guaranteed source from my man Jor Raptor. So I wanted to I'm not going to use his footage out of respect for him, but I did want to shout him out, and I'll go over some of those exclusive things, and they're mechanics that weren't talked about in the deep dive. So it's some pretty cool additions. So first, I wanted to kind of address the elephant in the room. For whatever reason, Ubisoft and everyone, they uploaded this at like the worst quality ever. I could not find a full HD rip of this to make my video on. So another shout out I have to give to Rajman Gaming HD. Because I did get this video from him. He upscaled it, so this is the highest quality that I could get. I mean, you guys, if you watched the trailer, even during the stream, I thought it was my internet connection, but it was just really blurry, so I don't know what was going on there. But anyways, let's jump into it. So starts out with Yasuke. We get to see him riding on horseback, very beautiful, as expected landscape. I really like his dialogue. I think the voice actor does a really great job. And he comes into the village, and he's what kind of caught me by surprise, and I was wondering about if they were going to do this, is all the people, the regular people walking around the town were like bowing to him and getting out of his way, and the kids kind of run away from him and stuff, and I thought that was a really cool touch that we've never really seen, but it's also accurate, to the history of how samurai were looked at back in those periods, and especially, Yasuke being really the only one in Japan that is that large in stature. It's just a really cool touch. So here it looks like he's taken on a little side quest, or it could be part of a main quest line. But he's going to go after a samurai who's stealing money, taxes. I'm thinking what it is. He's going to go after and confront him. And I mean, the rain dripping off, like this is, you can immediately tell that this is the what is it called, the upgraded engine, the Anvil pipeline, I believe it's called. You can immediately tell this is an upgraded version, even before we get into like some of the combat and more crazy moves. But you can definitely tell it's an upgraded version. It looks great, even even with the low quality of the stream itself. I can only imagine. I mean, it doesn't look perfect. It still needs some work. I would say, there's a couple parts where they show Yasuke's armor like moving around, like especially when he's like busting through the doors. It doesn't seem to really move dynamically as it should. But I mean, other than that, like the destruction of the environment, really cool. I love the posture, breaking their posture system. I think that's a really cool addition. And one of the things that wasn't talked about in the deep dive that I found out later is there's no damage numbers this time around, which I couldn't be more happy about. Like if you've watched my other videos, I constantly talk about how like I like a clean screen. Like once I get used to the game mechanics in pretty much any game, I'll remove all HUD options that I can. That's just a thing for me, and I know a lot of other players like to do that too. And Ubisoft has always been, even going back to like the original, they've always been good at like allowing you to remove pretty much everything and just have a clean screen. You know, I don't even like health bars. I know they serve a purpose. I found out that the yellow is the armor of the enemy. So once you break, and you can see the pieces of armor flying off, and then there's like these guys. Obviously, they're just cannon fodder because they don't even have that guy didn't even have armor, right? So the less armor they have, the easier they are to kill. So I'm very glad. That was actually a big worry of mine because the studio that's making this, they made Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and to me, that's the most like distracting game when it comes to like what's on screen at all times. And I like the game; it's a great game, but there was just too. It was just too RPG, too much gear, and all that stuff. But I still like the RPG games. Like I think Valhalla is actually really underrated, and Origins is fantastic. But like it seems from what I heard today that the developers didn't really speak about is that a lot of those, even though this is an RPG, a lot of the real deep RPG mechanics have kind of been stripped away or simplified, and I couldn't be more happy, right? And I know a lot of the community probably feels the same way. Not having the damage numbers, which means it seems like gear. There's probably some more powerful gear, but I don't think it's going to be as bloated as like how it used to be in Odyssey and Valhalla. I'm hoping. So that's really cool as well. Now, when it comes to the actual mechanics of Naoe, she can fight, as we've heard, right? But she's definitely more the stealth option. She's very fast and tries to execute, get in and out really quickly. So I thought it was perfect with what they did to have that showcase the combat with Yasuke as a samurai, and which, I mean, some of those animations are crazy, right? Like the fighting looks really, really good. But then to transition into a nighttime mission as Naoe and get to see how she moves and actually see the parkour. I actually found out that there's some more exclusive details about how she moves too that wasn't explained during the deep dive. The grappling hook is dynamic, so it's not like a canned animation. You can kind of like move it in different directions, right? And use it to assassinate, like we've seen there. The hide or the peeking around corners is back. You can go prone into the grass, which is great. And if you notice the little white outline around her, that means she's hidden, right? And that doesn't just apply to being in the foliage. See, she's got it here too because she's in the dark, right? So the shadows, as reported previously, they actually make a difference. So if you're in the shadow, like if you were to do this mission in daytime, which you can, and that was confirmed, it would be much harder because you can't manipulate the light, you can't hide in the shadows, and as long as that white silhouette is around you, like you're unseen basically. Another part here, you guys all remember in the RPG games where there were certain objects that just weren't climbable, like maybe they had like a lip around the building where you couldn't climb up, or spikes of some sort, right? Like that you had to find your way around. Well, Naoe exclusively, she can circumvent that using the grappling hook like we saw earlier, which I think is a really cool touch. And I did find out that Yasuke, although he can scale rooftops and things, getting onto structures like that Naoe used her grappling hook, he cannot do that. So, and this right here, I was super shocked. I thought that was really cool because, I mean, you want to get the civilians out of your way because they're gonna rat you out, but like the dragging with the grappling hook and bringing that woman in and subduing her rather than killing her adds to the immersion and what an assassin would actually do. Now we see the assassination through the door, which you actually have to equip your katana to be able to do that. I found that out as well. She's turning off the lights as she goes. We get to see this really cool animation. Remind me of Splinter Cell right here, where she kind of goes up in the rafters and waits for this guard to pass. But I did find out too, if it wasn't obvious, that you could actually use that as you could have dropped down and assassinated that guy as well. But I think she's just trying to get in and out. You know what I mean? Like, which makes a lot more sense. You don't need to go in and completely eradicate everybody, because that's just going to arouse suspicion, right? So, I did learn a little bit more about the seasons and how it involves missions too, and the day night cycle. So in previous Assassin's Creed games, well, the RPGs, right? Like, for instance, in Valhalla, you could do that meditate button, right? And as Eivor, and change from day to night or night to day. Well, in this, you can't. You don't have that ability. So you either have to wait for night to go in, because it was explained that if it was wintertime, what she does right here, which is really awesome. I love how she pulls the reed out to take a quick breath. I mean, that's so realistic. Well, if you were to do this mission during winter, that little pond is frozen, so you couldn't do what she just did there. You'd have to find another means, right? And it'd be more advantageous for you to do it during this time, when you can utilize that, because that's an easier way to get to the target. Here we get to see her with the Kurosagama just utterly destroying the bamboo with some great animations. And then she realizes, well, it's time to get out of here, right? Like, I've shed enough blood. Let's get on. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And so you can see the rain has gotten harder. The wind's blowing. I'm really impressed with her moveset, her nimbleness. It's just, I'm really impressed with the newer animations that they've thrown in here that I kind of wasn't expecting. Now, there are some concerns that I do have a little bit. I mentioned, some of the movement still couldn't look a little bit stiff. Some of the armor, the way that it goes, it doesn't really move around correctly. And I don't know. This is a personal thing of mine. I don't want to make it come off as I'm hating on the voice actress of Naoe, but a couple of lines that she delivered, I don't know. It didn't hit the high bar of quality that we're used to with with a lot of the protagonists. Maybe it's just because the first time I'm hearing it or whatever, but I just felt like Yasuke, his voice acting was great, and hers was a little, I don't know, forced. Maybe they'll kind of re-record some of those things, or I don't know. That's just a personal thing of mine. But I might actually just play this game in Japanese anyways. I tend to do that anyways in Assassin's Creed games. Is I'll play in the native language. And I love the fact that they have that in there. But yeah, I mean, overall, really really good showing of gameplay. Couple other things I found out through Jor Raptor was that the gun, it was shown real quickly, the rifle, that's a firearm that he can use pretty much any time. And I did see all this extra footage, right? So I'll leave a description on his video if you want to see those added gameplay cuts in his video. I didn't want to show it because out of respect for him, but I did want to talk about it. Also, the assassinations, you have the option confirmed that you can activate one kill, instant assassinations, but you can also turn it off. But I seen a clip of it where she tries to assassinate kind of a brute type of enemy, and she does no damage to him whatsoever. Like he just grabs her, tosses her over a table, she's on the ground, and then so to me it's kind of like, why would you want to do that knowing you're not going to do any damage? And Assassin's Creed games, like up until Origins, like they were all, it was always like one hit assassinations no matter the enemy. So for that to be back with no little mini game like we had in Valhalla, that's the way I'm gonna play it, and I think that's the way a lot of people are gonna play it. I would have liked to have seen some parkour of Yasuke, but I did hear about some. I mentioned earlier that there's certain obstacles he can't climb up, right? But he can get on rooftops. He can peek behind. He can like do the, take cover and peek, but because he's got armor on, he's more vulnerable. Like if he's peeking around a corner to look, he can be spotted, right? So that was confirmed by the developers as well. But yeah, like overall, I guess, Assassin's Creed, like I've said, it's my favorite franchise, and it's finally moved on to feudal Japan, and everybody wanted it. And I honestly really think that it's good that they waited, because I don't think they really had the technological ability to make one back in the PS3 era. I just don't think it would have worked. And of course, I'm probably sure they did learn a little bit. They had to have looked at Ghost of Tsushima, and although to me, like the game does look quite different. But I did notice in the Yasuke scene, he was changing stances, and I'm not quite sure how he did it, but I could see him changing sword stances, so that's pretty cool. And also, I found out that there are you could see him down at the bottom right, like the special ability things. You get 3 of them. I'm not really too sure what they do, because they weren't shown off, but those are where you put your special abilities, like how Valhalla had the axe throwing and all that stuff. But they seem to be a little bit more realistic. And then the tools, I did find out that the shurikens are not lethal projectiles. They stagger enemies, so you can or you can use them to extinguish lanterns and stuff. The kunais are the ones that are lethal, right? Which we've seen her use them a couple times in the trailer, and they're in less. You could hold less of those, right? So the shurikens are used to kind of stagger enemies, so you can kind of run up and get that one hit kill on them, which I think is pretty cool. Shurikens were a weapon that they definitely were lethal, but I kind of like how they included both and them having different effects. There's a couple other pieces of gear that we seen icons of, but we don't know. While we see the smoke bomb, we couldn't assume what that's gonna do. But then there looked like what was a bell. And I don't know if you guys have played Rise of the Ronin, but there's a bell that you can use to not distract enemies, but it kind of sends out a pulse so you can see your surroundings highlighted. I don't think they're gonna do the same thing. I think it's more probably a distraction thing, or maybe something where you can call in an ally, because we do know that they've created a spy network of people, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts. I can't wait to see more, to be honest. It comes out 2 days before my birthday. For some reason, Assassin's Creed always comes out the week of my birthday. I couldn't be more excited, and hope you guys are too. And if you like the content I provided here for you, I'm going to have anytime we hear anything about Assassin's Creed, better believe that I'm going to make a video on it. So if you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe, because I couldn't do this without you. I love you guys. like, and comment, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.